You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You're listening to Milwaukee Black Talk on 101.7 FM.
The Truth.
And 1510 AM. W269DL. Milwaukee. A Milwaukee Black media company.
What's good, Milwaukee? You're locked into 101.7 The Truth, and I am your host of the Grapevine, Manan Sabir. That is me. I want you locked in all the way because we're not playing small on this show. We're not playing small at all. We're talking disease, we're talking dollars, we're talking power, we're talking family, because in this city, those four things have never been separate. Never. So today we're going deep on a lot of people. We're going deep. And a lot of people don't want it straight, but we got to give it to you straight. Like what football actually has cost black athletes in their bodies and also in their bank accounts. How a fund meant to take care of those men quietly used race to decide who got paid. We're talking about whether playing the game is even worth it anymore, or whether it's time we start owning up more of it ourselves. Get our own leagues. Get our own joint. We're doing What the Health segment, 15 minutes, biohacker style. Yes, it's a little wild, fully entertaining, but, I got to make it honest, keep it super truthful, all the way straight with you the whole way through. And also, we're going to talk about a political family that's been doing this work for at least 5 generations, a Milwaukee political family that's been doing this work for at least 5 generations. That's the Cogs family. And I'm going to tell you why. That name means so much to me, not just personally, but also professionally. And we're going to close the show. We're going to talk about our kids. That's right, our kids and what's actually in their lunch trays. What's going on in their schools. We're going to try to curve and see how we can fix it. See what we can do to make sure that our kids are healthier in the schools. This is Truth Radio, and we don't want surface level here. Let's get into it. So, I'm gonna start with Chris Johnson. We got a video I want to show you of Chris Johnson. If you don't know about Chris Johnson, he was one of the most electrifying running backs ever to play the game. So this man put up like real life numbers in the National Football League that only most people who are playing could dream of. Go ahead, let's play that video again.
Why do you want to share this now?
Because if sharing my story helps even one person get diagnosed sooner, inspires more research, or gives another family only hope, then it's worth it.
Johnson says he was in the prime of his life, working out daily and running errands with his 4 children until ALS changed everything. Let's go back to last year. When did you notice that something was off?
I first noticed weakness in my right hand. At first, it was little things like my grip didn't feel right, and I wasn't as strong as I've always been.
His wife, Brittany, thought it was something much simpler. Brittany, what did you think it was at the time?
I thought because of football and, his career that it had to be something with that, maybe a pinched nerve or something along those lines, but never ALS.
And what did doctors tell you initially about your condition?
We hoped it was something else, but after thorough testing, they finally came down with a diagnosis of ALS. They told us about a medication that might extend life by a few months. Then they told us to get our affairs in order. It was hard hearing that, but after watching Good Morning America and seeing Dr. Merritt with Eric Dane, we reached out to her. She was willing to think more creatively, offering experimental treatments that might help and advance research.
Why do you want to share?
Yo, listen, man, thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. So this is a really interesting conversation I'd like to get into, because we have a number of athletes, small, medium, and large, and extra large, in multiple types of leagues. You got mini peewee, junior, middle school, high school. You got even prep. You have college, different divisions in college, and then you also have the pros and different levels of the pros. One thing that we do know is that, football is a really intense, sharp, blunt trauma type of sport. So Chris Johnson is now living with ALS. It's Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a motor neuron disease that takes a person's body apart piece by piece. So while his mind is sharp, your body breaks down, and it's almost like your mind is watching your body break down little by little. And I need y'all to understand, this is not like some random tragedy. This is a part of the pattern that the league, I'd say the league meaning the NFL, it's spent years trying to actually bury. So this is not a random tragedy. So for years, the NFL denied that there was any link between repeated head trauma and degenerative brain disease. They had the research, they had doctors raising red flags as far back as the early 2000s. And they fought it. Like, they funded counter studies. They did everything that they could to protect the product. So it took a movie called Concussion in I think it was 2015, with Will Smith playing Dr. Bennett Omalu. He was the first man who had first identified CTE in a NFL player's brain. But it took Hollywood to drag this whole entire subject into the mainstream before the league ever did anything. So by the time the movie came out in 2015, 2016, the league was a year behind in they were still trying to cover it up. They were probably more than likely, and from what I know, that they were fighting this movie behind the scenes. And so once Hollywood brought it to the forefront, before the league was forced to acknowledge what it already knew internally, that football was just causing all of this. It was causing, players to suffer, and they were suffering. A lot of them were suffering in silence. So the NFL, rightfully so, set up a settlement fund, and this happened in 2021. The NFL, the players won basically over $1 billion in 2021, and they put it in a settlement fund. So it was supposed to take care of players that were suffering from dementia, Parkinson's, ALS, like the whole spectrum of what repeated trauma, head trauma, does to a brain over a career. Mind you, it's not just playing in the NFL, but it's also the repeated head trauma from, playing as a kid, to, teenager on into a grown adulthood. But does this sound like accountability? But real accountability, real responsibility. But I beg to differ. This is where it gets real ugly. The cognitive tests used to determine who qualified for that money were race normed. So that means black players' baseline scores were automatically adjusted. They were adjusted lower or downward, and the system assumed black men, the system that they set up, that the league set up, that the league's researchers set up, assumed black men started with lower cognitive function than white men. So they thought that, basically the white men were smarter than the black men. So when a player came in showing signs of dementia, and we all know this is not true. When a black player came in showing signs of dementia, it was harder for his test results to show enough of a drop from that artificially lowered baseline just to qualify for the money. This is absolute, but I'm gonna let you like rest on that. Let that sink in. The same league that built its entire economic engine on black bodies, was, you have to remember, before, when the NFL was, first started, they didn't have as many black bodies. They still discriminated. Black players were still discriminated against. There were no black coaches. People were still being discriminated against. So when black bodies were used as a racist assumption of black intelligence to make it made it harder for black players to get paid for the damage that the same league caused. And just understand this, the scale of who that hit was over 70% of active NFL players, and more than 60% of the living retirees from the NFL are black. So this wasn't just a side issue. This was the main event. And it took two former players, Kevin Henry, and if you guys remember, former Green Bay Packer Najee Davenport. They filed a lawsuit in 2019 to drag this whole entire thing into light. So it took public outrage, investigative journalism, and pressure that wouldn't let up. And finally, in October of 2021, the NFL agreed to end race norming. Like, in 2021, the NFL agreed that they would end race norming for these particular tests in order to allow athletes access to this $1 billion fund so they can take care of themselves and take care of their families. We're going to continue with this topic. This is The Truth Radio. You're on the Grapevine with Manan Sabir. Let's take a break.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way, improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to healthcare and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
Yes, I'm going to let that sit in for a minute. We're back picking some more grapes on the Grapevine. I'm your host, Manan Sabir, and we're talking Chris Johnson, ALS, the NFL, and what they covered up. I mean, Chris Johnson has ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, where your body and your mind don't operate in unison. Your mind is saying one thing, your body's breaking down bit by bit. Your body's watching the mind break itself down. A lot of individuals who have these types of brain diseases are watching this happen. It's not just football players, but it's also boxers, people in contact sports, many people in contact sports, rugby players, folks that had traumatic brain injuries. They watch their bodies break down as their mind is, more than likely sharp. This is an amazing sacrifice, and I want to shout out Chris Johnson, an amazing sacrifice for even going on Good Morning America and having this interview. He had an interview where he couldn't move his body, but he could use a specific device with his eyes in order to communicate back with the interviewer. A lot of our black athletes, a lot of athletes are dealing with this, but the black athletes in particular have been wronged in these cases because of the NFL's lack of racial integrity and structure. They haven't held their end of the bargain for black athletes that make up pretty much 70% of the league. So, but here's the part that should make you sit up in all of this. In 2021, the NFL they settled at $1 billion fund. They settled at $1 billion and they put $1 billion in a fund for people with NFL players with diagnosis of brain damage, any diagnosis of brain damage. And the NFL basically walked away from that particular settlement with no wrongdoing, like at all. They walked away from a practice that suppressed payouts to black men with brain damage. They didn't even have to say that they were wrong for doing it. Families didn't always know what to look for. Research is clear that early diagnosis leads to significantly better outcomes for these conditions. And too many black players and their families were left in the dark. So they're fighting a bureaucratic system that was stacked against them while their bodies and minds were breaking down. So I'll say it plain, especially on this station, that we're not done. I was an athlete, significant athlete. We never were. Yes, we put a lot into our talent. We put a lot into our skill sets, but we're not done. And we're not letting institutions write that lie into the paperwork. We're not going to let that happen. So here's the thing. Here's the thing I want you all to know. Let's go to the side of the story that doesn't get nearly enough airtime. It's college football. And college football, because at least NFL players have a union, a settlement fund, they got leverage. There's some buffer. But college athletes, college players for most of football history had none of that. So the same brain trauma, same long-term risk, zero compensation, and zero real-life protection. So just last year, in 2025, a jury ordered the NCAA to pay $18 million in a CTE case. And in that trial, the lawyer said that the NCAA knew about concussions, knew about the risk of concussions since the 1930s. And they sat on the information from the 1930s. They sat on that information instead of warning coaches and players about this information. They didn't tell anybody. So their job was to keep these young men safe, and they didn't. So hopefully, and right now, from the evidence and from a lot of reports, a lot of stuff, that stuff is starting to shift. So it's shifting fast. The House settlement in 2025 finally opened the door for schools to pay athletes directly. So up to $20.5 million a school this year, climbing toward almost $33 million over the next decade. But here's the catch. The money is overwhelmingly flowing to football and men's basketball, the money-making sports. While a lot of other athletes and sports see almost nothing. They see zero. And so right now in Congress, there's a bipartisan bill it's called the Protect College Sports Act. And so that would require schools to cover medical expenses for 5 years. So after a player's last competition, y'all remember this. So you athletes that are at schools, you guys open your ears. So it'll allow after the player's last competition, there's a fund that is set up to be funded at $60 million a year, specifically for long-term conditions like CTE. And that's the kind of protection that should have existed 50 years ago. 50 years from the 1930s. It's crazy to sit on this level of information. Like, yesterday I talked about people having their thumbs on us, but this is one of those times when it's like consistently on us. They're using us to do what they want. So here's what I want to leave in this segment. Ownership. Like if if we are owning, if we're not owning anything, it's going to be somebody else's subject. It's going to be somebody else's topic. The 2024-25 season had the most black minority team owners in league history. A person like Melody Hobson, she's the CEO of one of the largest black-owned investment firms in the country. She's a part of the ownership group that bought the Denver Broncos for $4.65 billion. And that's not a token seat. That's institutional capital sitting. That's institutional capital sitting at the table. So people ask me, should we build our own league? And I'm of the contention, like, I really respect that instinct. But there's economics behind it. And every independent football league for the last 40 years, the USFL, the XFL, which, some people we know are a part of it, the AAF, and the UFL, every single one of them needed a billionaire or a major media company backing just to survive one season. So the capital required for a full contact pro football contract is enormous. It's huge. So right now, the fastest, most realistic path to real black power in this sport isn't necessarily building from scratch. It's buying ownership. It's buying ownership stakes in the league that has already built stadiums. They built deals, the fan base. It's time to own the table. It's time to own the table that's already built. Why we keep fighting for the change? Let's take their table. Let's get pieces of it, and then start to build our own. I think that's the way that we can protect the players that come out of our neighborhoods, that come from, Sherman Park, that come from Lincoln Park, that come from Burnham Park. That's how we're able to. That come from Washington High School. What was Custer? I think Barack Obama. All these schools around here. That's how we continue to fight for change. We look for ways in which we can leverage the money that's given to us and the people around us to own a piece of the table, but then work to build our own. And it has to be known, hey, look, we're going to own some of this, but we're going to build our own thing too. And I think, there's a way to do it. So here's the bottom line before I go to break. The ownership deal is opening up faster than any new league, and we can build from the ground up now. We can build from the ground up. So the question isn't just should we play, it's who's sitting at the table when the money's getting split. So I need you to hold that thought, and when we come back, we're going to flip it. We're going to flip it to one of my favorite segments, my favorite new segments called What the Health. And we're going to talk about it biohacker style. You're going to want to hear this one. So we back in 2. Let's take a break.
Dreaming of owning your first home? Don't settle for a fixer-upper. Build a brand new home with Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity. They partner with first-time buyers to make home ownership possible with little to no down payment and a team that's on your side every step of the way. Even if you're just starting to explore what's possible, they're here to help you take the next step. If your household earns between $55,000 and $90,000 a year, you may qualify. Visit MilwaukeeHabitat.org to learn more.
Join the Milton House Museum for an extraordinary celebration of history, heritage, and freedom on September 26th at 7 p.m. at Janesville Performing Arts Center. This special evening features Grammy Award-winning Fisk Jubilee singers from Nashville, a legendary ensemble having preserved the powerful legacy of African-American spirituals, carrying songs of faith, resilience, and hope to audiences around the world. Opening the evening is the dynamic Kofi Dance Company. Don't miss this unforgettable evening supporting the Milton House Museum. Tickets available at miltonhouse.org.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age. Everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
And we're back, 101.7 The Truth, and it's time for What the Health, our 15-minute or so deep dive into like the wild, the weird, is, generally useful health information. And I'm going to put a little biohacking in there because today we're going to talk about parasites. Yep, that's right, parasites. Everybody got them. Everybody got parasites in your belly. If you look down and you touch your belly, there's parasites. If it's gurgling, it's parasites. Yo, Zach just said, just lifted up his shirt and told me his belly is a parasite on the outside though. I'm just kidding. So picture this: you walking through the woods. It's let's say I'm gonna give you something even close to home. You walking through what's the woods? We could put Hart Park. Okay, you at Hart Park. You walking through the woods. You catch a little break. You with your lady or whatever whoever you with. You walking through the woods. And there's a stream. It seems kind of easy to get to. It looks clear. It's nice kind of fall day, warm, about 65. You walk in, this crunch of the leaves on the bottom of your toes, your feet, your shoes. And then you take a drink. And you notice that it's really nice. It's decadent. It's lovely. It's crisp. And you drink a little more because you're thirsty. Walked 3-4 miles. And you continue to drink. And then you finish your walk, you go home, you laying down, you get a good night's rest because you had that nice sip of water. And then all of a sudden, you stand up the next morning and your gut feels like it's fighting the Civil War. Your gut feels like it's fighting a race riot. And so that's how a lot of these stories start, including some from like a lot of biohacker circles, like a gentleman, his name is Ben Greenfield. And he's been documented treating a Giardia infection. So he picked that up out of foraging for homemade tea. So, sometimes foraging and drinking that water don't go hand in hand. So before we get into the wild stuff, here's rule number 1, straight from that world, straight from the biohacker world. And it's actually solid advice. Test first, don't guess. And real parasitic infections, Giardia, crypto. Yep, that's right. Crypto. We still, it's some areas that still got crypto. Hookworm, tapeworm. These are all diagnosable. But that's your starting point. But there's comprehensive stool analysis with parasitology, proper GI function panel. So no matter what you decide to do after, just do it. So now here's the arsenal, because this is where it gets interesting. All of oregano shows up in almost every one of the parasite protocols. So if you have a parasite, you can also get a parasite, just real quick. You can also get a parasite from eating pork. So if you are a pork eater, and you like to eat pork, you can also get parasites from eating pork. Yes, you can get parasites from eating. There are good parasites, yes. But this particular parasite, the trichini worm, happens to be almost unbeatable in pork. And not to say that you can't get rid of parasites, but the trichini worm, for example, I'm going to give you a story. I have to give a story. The trichini worm, this is a full example of a trichini worm. A lady in California, San Diego, California, was laying on her couch. She was catatonic. She had just finished probably previous day or previous, whatever, couple hours ago, before she laid down on the couch. She wound up eating, I guess, a pork chop. And she laid down on the couch. When she laid down on the couch, her kids came in about an hour later, and she had woke up, and her kids came in. They were like, "Mom, you want to go to this, to the water park?" And she said she could hear herself talk, but she could not move her body nor her lips. The only thing she could do was move her eyes. And so her kids thought she was playing. So they came back again, and they asked, "Mom, do you want to go to the water park?" She could not move. So they got their dad. The dad then called the ambulance, and basically she was in a state of kind of catatonic, whatever, shock. She did a number of tests. Tests all kind of were inconclusive. Then a neuroscientist or neurosurgeon did his own test. They took CAT scans, all that stuff, and they did a surgery. They did a brain surgery. They wound up finding the trichini worm wrapped around her brain and part of her spine, because the brainstem goes from your neck or your back of your head down to your spine. That's where the brainstem is. It was wrapped around that and through her brain. And they said the neurosurgeon took the trichini worm out and set it in like the little metal tray, little steel tray, whatever it is. He then told two nurses to hold the trichini worm up, one at the end, one at the middle, and he was at the end. They measured that trichini worm, and it went from one side of the room to the other side, which approximately was about 10 feet. It was a 10-foot long trichini worm that mutated in this lady's body in that fast. So, parasites. Let's get to it. Yes, oil of oregano shows up in majority of all protocols. So if you are trying to get rid of parasites, this is my opinion that if you're trying to get rid of parasites, oil of oregano is one of those protocols that you should definitely start taking advantage of. Proteolytic enzymes, things like serapeptase used to break down biofilm that parasites can hide behind in the gut. Berberine is a root. It's a bitter root. Yeah, berberine. It's a bitter golden. It's used across multiple traditions. So most cultural traditions use berberine, and they use it as a natural antimicrobial. Here's the old school trio that I use. I used one time. I used probably like 6 months ago. It was black walnut, wormwood, and clove. Black walnut, wormwood, and clove. And it's usually paired with spirulina. So you put it in some water, warm it up, whatever you want to do. Let it sit. And then you put some spirulina in there, and boom, you got a kind of a parasite cleanser. So if you want something to cleanse your parasites out of your body, because a lot of people always talk about, I need those parasites out of my body. I want to lose weight and get all this stuff out. There you go. There's one of the ways. Here's the wild card moment of the segment. I promise you this is real. And some biohackers are going to go complete opposite of this direction, but they sometimes deliberately infect themselves on purpose with, hookworms or whipworms. And it's called helminthic therapy. And it's built on like a hygiene hypothesis. It's the idea that our modern, ultra clean living has removed organisms. It's actually removed organisms. And this is what, Zach, you were talking about. It's removed organisms from our immune systems that literally co-evolved with us over thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So basically, you're reintroducing them in a controlled way that might help with your autoimmune and allergic conditions. And they've studied this in like Crohn's disease and MS. It's wild. It's wild. It's a biohacker way, and scientists are still studying this stuff. But these are possibilities, y'all. So if you're out there and you have these, you got some parasites, this is what the health. I gotta keep it 100 with you. And before we close out, a lot of this stuff in this space is including some of the biggest names. A lot of people are working off of like personal experimentation and herbal tradition. And a lot of this stuff is like not published. So take it as you see it. It's things that I probably would do. I'm not suggesting you do it. Please consult your doctor before you even make this happen. But if you do feel that you have parasites, then do what your best mind will tell you to do. And that's not entertainment. I'm just telling you straight up. So that's what the hell's for you. It's wild stories, it's real herbs, and it's a reminder to actually get tested before you go full biohacker on your gut. So when we come back, we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about legacy. We're talking Milwaukee. We're talking family. And this one's kind of personal for me. So we'll be back. Let's take a break.
Milwaukee business owners, this is your moment. Every Friday at 8 a.m., call in to 101.7 The Truth for What the Business Is. Tell us what your business is, where you're located, and one thing you've learned along the way. What the Business is powered by We Energies, delivering the energy that powers local business. Fridays at 8 a.m. on 101.7 The Truth. Fridays at 8 a.m. on 101.7 The Truth.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
Woo! Man, these beats on this show. Man, if I could freestyle right now, I would. So looking to discover, support local businesses in our community, then make sure you tune in every Friday at 8 a.m. to Truth in the Morning with Homer Blow and Bailey Coleman for What the Business Is, powered by We Energies. Each week, you'll hear from local business owners as they share what their business is, where they're located, and one valuable lesson they've learned along the way. We Energies is proud to help power local businesses and communities they serve. Don't miss What the Business Is every Friday at 8 a.m. only on the Truth Radio. Only on the Truth in the Morning with Homer Blow and Bailey Coleman, powered by We Energies. Delivering the energy that powers local business. Yes. And UW Milwaukee Rural Program. Lovely, lovely. Welcome back. We're about to pick some more grapes on the Grapevine. I'm your host, Manan Sabir, and we are talking something that is very, very close to me. A real topic, right? We are going to go down this I don't know if I call it the rabbit hole or not, but oh my gosh, that was good. That was real good. Thanks, Zach. I really appreciate how you gave me the what was that called? What is that?
X-Files.
X-Files. Yeah, I remember X-Files. Dang. Hey, you guys, if you remember X-Files, whew, man, X-Files was crazy. It was nice. Everybody watched X-Files for a minute. But Milwaukee, we're talking the Cogs legacy. That's right. We're talking the Cogs legacy. And before I go down this subject and into the subject, I want to make sure that you recognize that the Cogs family has shaped this city's politics for 5 generations. That's 5. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 generations of the Cogs family. And it starts with Isaac Cogs. He came up to Wisconsin during the Great Migration. He became a member of the state assembly, and he stayed on it for about 6 terms. He's the second African-American to ever chair the Wisconsin Legislative Committee, the first African-American on the Milwaukee County Board of Supervisors. So this man introduced a human rights bill in 1961 covering fair housing and fair employment. But he faced a lot of resistance. In the committee that the NAACP organized 700 people to protest at the state capitol. He reportedly had a relationship with President Kennedy, who told him a picture of Cogs hung in his office. That's the foundation. Then his wife, Marsha P. Cogs, the matriarch, the first black woman, she was the first black woman ever elected to the Wisconsin legislature in 1976. She's the first black member of the Joint Finance Committee, and they called her the conscience of the state of Wisconsin. So very small lady in stature, but she was real giant. She was a giant in her impact. So during her first week in office, she authored 45 of the 89 bills introduced in the entire assembly that year. When she stepped back in 1992, she didn't file for re-election, so she cleared the path for her nephew, Leon Young, to take that seat. And that's a family that's thinking generationally on purpose. And this is how you stay close to your family, because you start linking past generation to present generation to future generations. This is what is supposed to happen. And so from there, the tree was spread. Elizabeth Cogs, 12 years in the county and state assembly. Spencer Cogs, the assembly plus the state senate. Also city treasurer. Leon Young carrying the seat forward. And then there's the generation that's working right now. You have Malele, Priscilla Cogs. So 3 of them serving basically at the serving seats, serving in office at the same time. So there's even a whole other branch in this family. You got Theodore, you got Pauline. So it's not just, if you say a family business is, I think that's rudimentary, but I think it's a charge to what purposeful direction you lead for your family from the matriarch and also patriarch. And I like that. I like that. I come from a family that similar to that also. So I want to take a second and talk personally, because this is more history. This is more than history to me. Malele Cogs, if you don't know, is the youngest woman ever elected to the Common Council, the first African-American woman to chair the Finance and Personnel Committee. And that's the committee that decides where the money actually goes in the city. And that's real power. It's not symbolic power at all. And I'll say this as someone who knows her personally. Our families go back. Her family poured into mine. My family poured into hers. And that's real living history. That's real history. And that's not something you just read off the press. You try to give it a nice flowery press release. Even her uncle and my father and I share something that's in common. And that's, he's a black belt. He came into martial arts, during the period of time around the time my father came into the martial arts. And I put that time I've put personally that time on the mat. And that's the connection that runs deeper than politics. So hear me on this, Milwaukee. Truth Radio. We're doing our job, but we're not sit quiet and allow people to tamp down on folks that are associated with this radio station. I stand side by side with Malele as a friend, but also as a person that's carrying on tradition in her family. And I love to hear people's views, but we also have to remember that having a view does not mean that we slight individuals personally. So I'm with Isaac Newton Cox. And I like fighting for the people who haven't been heard, but I'm also a fair fighter also. So this is not dynasty for their family. Is not dynasty for dynasty's sake. It's a family that kept showing up generation after generation after generation. And while a lot of other people walked away, that's the kind of legacy that this was built on. And that's the kind of legacy we protect. And when we come back, we're gonna continue. We're gonna continue about our strange and wild biohacks and some more science and what's going on with our kids. What's going on with our kids and their lunch trays. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 2.
The African American Roundtable, black-led organization on Milwaukee's far northwest side, has launched a safety campaign rooted in the basic need of food access. It's called Feed the Change MKE. Through community engagement, AART learned that easy access to and education about locally sourced and fresh food would help people feel healthier and safer. Also, local food providers need to learn how to engage the community, build awareness, and stay in our community long-term. So Feed the Change MKE encourages people to know, grow, prepare, and share food, especially from community-owned and operated stores, gardens, markets, and other culturally relevant sources. We can't rely on big corporations to meet these needs. That's why we must demand the city to invest $1 million into the Healthy Food Establishment Fund, formerly called the Fresh Food Access Fund. Join AART's campaign to win a dignified and choiceful system that we all can thrive in. Visit AARTMKE.org to learn more about Feed the Change MKE.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on where you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling. The limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakomick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakomick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
You're listening to Milwaukee Black Talk on 101.7 FM.
The Truth.
And 1510 AM. W269DL. Milwaukee. A Milwaukee Black media company.
Monero.
All right, we're back. Let's pick some more grapes on the Grapevine. I'm your host, Manan Sabir, and you are in for hour number 2. And we're talking biohacking and our kids. What's going on with our kids? What's going on with our kids in the schools and all this added sugar and stuff like that? I want to know from our listeners. What's going on with your kids and their school lunch? What's going on? Are you getting up? Are you waking up with your kids and exercising with them? What do you do with your kids when they don't want to wake up? They don't want to go to school because there's no real food. They don't have good food. Do you send your kids to school with a bag lunch? What do you put in the bag lunch? I want to know what you putting in the bag lunch. Hit me up, 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. I want to know, what are you putting in your children's lunches? What are you putting in their school lunch? I want to know. Let me know. Because there are a lot of, and I've was privy to a few conversations about parents that want to change the direction in which our school lunches go. I know from being an observer in other countries, a lot of school lunches, a lot of food that kids access in school is pretty healthy. For example, you have individuals, kids in Japan, places like that, who when they eat their food, they're not taught to eat everything on the plate. Okay? They're not taught, hey, I need you to eat all this food on the plate. No, they're not taught that. They're actually taught to learn. They learn how to eat. How do you eat? Kids, this is very, very important. How do you eat? I want to know that. And that's how kids usually in Japan get through eating their lunches. And majority of the lunches that they have are usually seaweed based. They have a coconut rice or a rice, but then they have like other fruit and other vegetables attached to it. So they learn how to eat. They usually pick up the vegetables first, eat the vegetables, then they eat the fruit. Then they eat the either fermented seaweed, and then they eat the rice. All that they learn how to eat. They don't just sit down at the table and just eat, start going away at the food. The other thing is, in a lot of countries, some food, you look at Norway, Sweden, Germany, a lot of these places are serving food that isn't full of processed ingredients. There's those countries that I mentioned, even in a lot of places, even in Africa, serve local food that is bought in from the farm next door, the farm across the way. These people and these farms are then supplementing. They're giving different varieties of seasonal food to the kids in those schools, and you could see kids actually benefiting from the lunches and breakfast and lunch that is bought in from the farmers and farms and or food systems from around that particular school, as opposed to American food. American food in most of our public schools is, it follows a guideline. It definitely follows a guideline, but it leaves, a lot to the imagination in relationship to how healthy this food is and what food sources are feeding our kids, feeding the schools, what sources are feeding the schools. I'm of the contention that if I remember back in the day, man, you guys remember mock chicken legs? Mock chicken legs. I remember mock chicken legs.
Yeah, but it's always Team Chicken Patty.
Is who?
Team Chicken Patty.
That's what oh yeah. Oh,
because it was always mock chicken leg versus chicken patty.
Yes, it was. Yep. What was the mock chicken leg made out of? I think it was had a pork chicken, beef. I think it was like pork, chicken, and beef all at the same time. They
definitely wasn't chicken, I'll tell you that.
Definitely wasn't chicken. It was shaped like chicken. And so they would put chicken. It would be shaped like a chicken. And it was breaded like a chicken. But then they put gravy on top of the mock chicken leg. And then people would go crazy. But you go crazy over the gravy, not the actual chicken leg. And then we opened it up, it was brown. How do you have a mock chicken leg that was brown? But I think it was the precursor to the manufactured vegan chicken. So if you ever look up the vegan chicken, it look kind of manufactured and stuff like that. Needless to say, that we're being fed things that are left to our imagination. That we're being fed food that is made in a factory and or not saying all of it, and or from soil sources that aren't living up to organic standards. So you have different types of soil. I'm gonna give you two general types of soil that your vegetables and your fruit come from. You got organic soil it's non-contaminated, and then you have inorganic. You got organic soil, then you have non-organic soil. So the organic soil is contaminated. Sorry, and then the organic soil is not contaminated. It's in terms of schools are now starting to, and I know some schools, because I've been in some, are starting to give and serve an organic menu, and then you do have or a vegetarian menu. Now you have a lot of kids who don't eat meat, and rightfully so. But then there are many schools who are still buying from those types of those non-organic sources. And that's what's being put into our kids' lunches. To feed our kids is fine. But we also have to be selective. We have to be selective. We have to have proper choices. We also have to understand and study how our kids react and respond after they eat this food. Because if you're in the school system and you know what's going on, a lot of our kids, they'll finish, depending on the type of lunch it is. Like if it's a well-balanced, a fruit-based, vegetable-based, non-vegetable-based type of lunch, then majority of the times some kids won't eat that. But there's their attitudes after that particular lunch is really high. They're not getting in fights, trouble, all that stuff. But when you fill their lunches up full of sugar, that's when we are getting ourselves in trouble with our babies. Schools, I want to know from especially teachers that are listening, do you feel like our school lunches are doing their job? Is the nutritional value of our school lunch, is it really doing its job? Because if you look at your children and you give them, let's say, broccoli, because I'm about to talk about broccoli, raw broccoli versus cooked broccoli. One broccoli, carries more fiber than the other. Fiber then helps a child, if they have enough fiber in their body, it gives them the proper mineral content to be intelligent, literally to be intelligent. If you have proper fiber, it gives you the content, the body content to be intelligent. That's what happens. I'm not saying our kids are dumb. At no means am I saying that. But we want them to be sharp, like really, really sharp. So yes. Tim, what's up? Tim.
Hello?
Tim.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. I am a school teacher, and I just wanted to respond to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What I'm noticing is that kids refuse to eat free lunches that are offered. Matter of fact, they complain about the taste. They don't like the type of food that's being served.
Yeah.
And I know that the chef that's cooking for our school is serving quality food, but I think the kids aren't getting nutrition at home. They're not, eating on a regular basis is what they're telling me.
Yeah.
So they eat a lot of junk food in the morning. They're not eating good food like we were growing up.
Right.
We were basically told this is what you're going to eat, and you didn't have a conversation about it. But today in school, they're refusing to eat these lunches. They'll eat what they like, and then they throw the rest of it away. So that's my take.
Man, I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you so much for calling in. And when we come back, we're going to talk about our kids' health, their lunch, school lunches, and what we can do about it. We want some more callers to call in. 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017, and we'll see what we got. We'll be right back.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress,
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative,
and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. Improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to health care and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
Yes. Welcome back. We're picking some more grapes on the Grapevine. I'm your host, Manan Sabir of the Grapevine, and we are here. Yes, we are in the building. We are good. We are living. This is June 30th, 2026, and there's a lot going on today. There's a lot going on. A lot. And we're talking our kids. What's going on with our kids? We got kids that need to be healthy. They need to come back. They need to come back to school. And we want our kids to look healthy. We want them to be healthy. We want them to even demand it. Matter of fact, our kids, if you are a parent and you got your kid next to you, tell your child, demand from the school that they want healthy food. Now, if the kids are like, man, our teacher give us a lot of candy and stuff like that, listen, tell your child to tune in, because we want them to change the paradigm. We want them to make a shift. Allow the teacher to feel your demand. They're there to teach, but they're also there to listen. So let's make a change. And real quick, as we were coming out of break and going into the break, I'm sorry, we had a caller, and the caller had mentioned about how back in our day, I can say our day now. Back in our day, he had acknowledged that our parents used to sit us in front of our plates and then make us eat the food. Now kids are sat in front of their plates and they're choosing not to eat the food. And what we as people have to remember is that we're in a different time where sugar is king. Sugar has been king for a really long time. It's been sugar all the time. Just because we give our child a cranberry juice at school for a sugar-free cranberry juice or sugar-free apple juice does not mean it does not contain sugar. Does not mean that. They just take a little bit, one ingredient out, and boom, sugar's still back into the picture. So yes, and our parents used to sit us down, to his question and also comment. Our parents used to sit us down, and we had to eat our food, but they were a little bit harsh too. You know, if we didn't eat our food, then there would be some punishment. And does it really contain, when we're doing this work, do we really have to be punished? As a kid, we're trying to work on this food. We're trying to get it down our throat. Our bellies are only, if you look at the bellies, our belly is only a thumb size, especially the little babies. Little babies, their belly is only a pinky size. So it expands, and it contracts. And we're trying to say, hey, look, eat all your food. No, it doesn't work that way. If your child says they're not hungry, they are not hungry. Let it go. They will, and I know the parents trap, hey, or the teacher's trap. Hey, look, you got to make sure and I know teachers sit down next to students and they want them to finish what's on their plate. You don't recognize what's going on in that child's body to even make them finish that plate. You have to figure out what's going on in their body and also their mind. And they may not even have the words to tell you, but you have to figure out what's going on around them in their environment and inside of them in order for you to make them do this one thing: eat all of their food. So, yes, I agree. My parents used to make me eat all my food. My daughter, I tell her to try to eat all her food, but what I do make sure that I tell her is that, if you don't, it's okay. Let's just eat this one thing, and I don't overload her plate. I put one thing on her plate at a time. So if it's fruit, it's fruit. She eats that. If it's vegetables, it's vegetables. She eats that. If it's, some meat, if she chooses to eat meat, boom. And when she doesn't eat a lot of meat, then it's that. But I make sure that she has a soft environment in order to make sure that she's eating, her proper food. Vegetables first, usually, or fruit. So real quick biohack before we move on. And I'm telling you straight up, this is me testing something on myself, and this is not something I'm telling anyone to go out and do. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go on like a vegetable, all green vegetable. I don't know if you call it a fast or a diet or whatever, but I'm gonna go on an all green everything. I want to see what my body, how concerted my body acts in response to me eating all green everything. I'm talking about, I'm from the multivitamin to green leafy greens, like the collard green, the Swiss chard, the kale, the lettuce, all of that, all green. But I want to eat a lot of it every day. I just want to eat as much as I possibly can. Even if it's one thing per day, I'm going to do that. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is a clean biohack. This is my own fast. This is my own stunt. So but I also want my gut to tell me what's going to happen. Like I want to listen to my gut. I want to get rid of all the bloating. Yeah, I do. I'm I'm not going to give you the number, but pounds, all of that. But at this volume, like vegetables at this volume, you know, I'm gonna document all of this. I'm gonna make sure that you guys, the listeners, really know what I'm taking in. I'll probably take some before and after pictures. I'm gonna work out. I'm definitely gonna do this, and I want people. If you are listening, I want you to challenge yourself too. I'm not a doctor, so go to your doctor before you do this. But you know, I'm gonna do it. You can do it with me. Let's just see. All green, everything. And somebody's gonna ask, man, how long? How long are you gonna do it? I don't know. I'll probably do it for about 3-4 weeks, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna start with one day. It's one day at a time, but I'm gonna start with one day, and I'm just gonna take it from there. So I'm gonna document it. I'm gonna take some pictures. You guys can, you know, you can go to my Facebook page or my Instagram page, and then you can find out, you know, the before and after pictures. I'm gonna take some close-ups of like my face and how clear it can get, the hair, like all of that. I want to even see if I can reverse the gray. Like I heard that you can reverse the gray in your beard without dyeing it. So I want to see if I can reverse the gray in my beard and on my hair. See, I'm growing some of it back. I'm gonna try to grow a little bit of it back before I cut it, so people can see that some of the gray is on my hair. So yeah, let's try it. If you down, hit me up in the chat. Hit me up on. You could text me like, hey, look, Manon, I'm down to try, because you know it's probably a good thing for you. Shoot, even your kids can do it. You know, I would love to do that. So speaking of what we put in our bodies, let's talk about really what's, you know, the rest of our topic, which is what's going on in our kids' bodies. And you have to remember every single school day that goes past, our kids are usually getting just under 60% of their daily calories from ultra processed food. 60%. So that's not a snack here or there. That's basically the foundation of how our generation is being built. And there's new federal dietary guidelines released this year that are finally calling that out, recommending that no added sugar at all for kids under 10. And by 2027, 2028, the school year, schools should have to keep added sugar under 10% of weekly calories across breakfast and lunch. And that's real. That's progress. I like that. That's progress. So, you know, there's policies that are catching up. They're looking to, you know, make sure they're catching up to what parents been saying for plenty of years. If I entrust you with my child, I don't want my child coming back with higher calories than what I left them than when they left out of the house with. They need to stay on the same regimen. But I got to keep it honest with you. This isn't as simple as schools just need to do better. 95% of school nutrition directors in this country are seriously worried that their meal programs are even financially sustainable. Like 3 years from now, this is a very high class worry. Hey y'all, when we come back, we're going to tackle what can we do with our kids and their meals in the schools, especially Milwaukee public schools. Let's take two.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Grapevine. I'm your host, Manan Sabir. I just got a message. Oh, man, this is quite funny because somebody just hit me. Was like, man, my boy Trent. Welcome back, Trent. Thank you, baby. Yo, Trent is a cold barber, so if y'all need a barber, hit Trent up, straight up. Listen, he hit me and he hit me with the chicken leg, the Mech chicken leg. So Mech chicken legs, also known as city chicken, are a depression-era dish made of skewered pork and or veal molded into the shape of a drumstick. The meat is seasoned, breaded, pan-fried to a golden brown, and then baked until tender. That's right, baked until tender. But you got to see this. You got to hear this. This is the wild part. Although the name implies poultry, Mech chicken contains no chicken at all. It originated in urban areas, particularly throughout the Great Lakes region in cities like Pittsburgh and Cleveland. During the 1920s and 30s, chicken was an expensive luxury. Yes, chicken was a luxury. Now they sell it for $5 a pound or $1 a pound in the grocery store. Meaning that if you think about all meat was actual luxury. But meat in abundance back then was pork, because pork was used, especially pigs were used on farms to sop up everything, all the garbage that was used on the farm. So they started slaughtering the pigs because pigs were procreating at enormous, and they still do. They procreate at an enormous amount, even more than chicken. But chicken was an expensive habit. Meat, all that. A lot of meat was definitely an expensive habit, especially around the time of Depression. So we can go into that later. But during the 20s and 30s, chicken was an expensive luxury, whereas pork and veal scraps, oh my gosh, this is crazy, were much more affordable. Clever home cooks would cube the cheaper meats, place them on wooden skewers, and season them so they resemble a chicken drumstick, giving working class families the experience of a Fancy Family Sunday Roast. Man, I'm gonna keep on going. It goes into like how to make mock chicken legs. I'm gonna spare y'all, but basically you just ground up a whole bunch of stuff, skewer things, and then put it all into one. You put it, and then you bread it, you season it, you bread it, you cook it. It's a lot. But here's the most important part. During the 1920s and 30s, chicken was an expensive luxury, whereas pork and veal scraps were much more affordable. Yes. So basically, mock chicken legs was just the scraps. So they fed our kids Depression era food. Hey Zach, was mock chicken legs. Were they serving mock chicken legs when you was going to school?
Yep, that's why it was mock chicken leg versus chicken patty.
Dang, that's crazy. So they was giving Depression era food even during the time that you was going to school. That's wild. I could see us, in the 80s and in grade school getting that depression. And it still shouldn't have been. But they held on to that. Boy, that's deep. I'm kind of appalled. This is foul. Like we and I wonder what other Depression era meals are still triumphant in the school recipe system. Like how are we still holding on to these traditional values of school meal, school lunch? And I just am. I don't think that it's good for our children to consistently eat these types of meals. Hey, I'm not the expert. I'm just got an opinion. So I want to go back to what I was saying, that this hits home a lot. Like this type of subject hits home a lot because we have a number of teachers listening and folks that are listening. But I want to know. I'm really interested in this subject. Al, what's up?
Well, let me turn this down. Well, I feel like this: if people don't want their kids eating slave food, depression food, well, you go on and buy them some mushrooms and pack them a lunch and send them to school. But see, sometimes you have to take your mind from that. See, some people say greens is slave food, chitlins is soul food, ribs is soul food. So it depends. So I don't see it because I love me some country style pork ribs. I love me some pork chops, okay?
Al,
and some chitlins.
Al,
yes. Hog maw, fat back.
Al,
yes.
Were you listening what I said about the trichini worm?
That's all right as long as it's cooked all the way. Hey,
no,
ain't nothing wrong with it. but look,
yes.
But look, think about this. A lot of people are so against all these so-called slave foods.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all put your mouth on a human body, and that's more dirty than stuff that's outside. And some of that can kill you. And that's how some of your kids got here.
Hey, look, you got a point. Thanks, Al. Hold on, I got you, Al. Thank you. Yeah, you right. Al, you right. I think on one part, some people like their food. I got it. You like your food. You like your chitlins, and you like your, what you consider slave food. You like your what I would consider slave food. You like the scraps that was given to the slaves. Now it's a delicacy. Got it, right? But also, and it sustained them. I'm not saying that it didn't. I'm really not saying that it didn't. What I'm saying to you is that now that we have options, do we have to choose that option in order to stick with tradition? and that's a whole nother subject I'm gonna get into later. But do we have to choose that option to stick with tradition in order to talk about what Al said? And Al, I appreciate you. The other thing is, Al, what you were talking about. What did you just say? That we put our miles on folks. Yeah, you know what? That is a great point. That is a great point, because what it goes back to this saying, you are what you eat. Yes, you are. You are definitely what you eat. If you put something in your body, it will come out through your pores, because your body acts as one mechanism. If one thing, like for example, if you poke your finger, your toes will feel it. Your brain will go to that particular point. So what you put in your body, and if it ain't acting right, or if it is acting right, you will notice the difference. And so you sharing information, data, saliva, chemicals, bodily organs and bodily fluids with folks out here. Yeah. There are pros and cons. There are pros and cons to that. If you don't put the right information, the right food into your body, guess what can happen? You're going to get the wrong things out of it. That's plain. That's super simple. If I put soda in my body, I'm gonna get a bloated stomach. If I eat garbage and I want to share my chemicals with somebody, then guess what? They gonna, ultimately they're gonna be in conjunction, in parallel with my chemicals that I share with that particular person. That's the real, Al, and I like how you put that. Thanks, Al. I'm gonna go to the chat real quick. Sincere says, Ronnie Ray Real says, good teachings, brother. Jasmine says, a lot of kids that rode my bus would have a bag of chips, candy, sodas, no fruit, or a sandwich. Yes, I love Al too, but yeah, you're right. A lot of kids would definitely have, bag of chips, candy, soda, and all kids are pretty much guilty, like all kids, like every kid. My daughter woke up, she said she wanted a snack this morning. Dad, I said, I have strawberries. I don't want strawberries. I want a snack. No, you're gonna get what I have in front of you, or nothing, because I don't have that. Or you can share, you can bite into that cucumber that I have on the table and call it a day. That's straight up. I'm pretty sure she wanted to rebel, but she just didn't have the capacity to rebel. Before we break, I want everybody to remember that UW Milwaukee Roar program at UW Milwaukee. Students don't have to wait until college to start building their future. Roar Ready lets students in K through 12 grade join in hands-on programs across campus, from science and tech to arts, sports, and more. Students try new things, meet new people, build skills that matter. Get started today at uwm.edu/warready. We'll see you in 2. Don't go away.
Milwaukee business owners, this is your moment. Every Friday at 8 a.m., call in to 101.7 The Truth for What the Business Is. Tell us what your business is, where you're located, and one thing you've learned along the way. What the Business is powered by We Energies, delivering the energy that powers local business. Fridays at 8 a.m. on 101.7 The Truth. Fridays at 8 a.m. on 101.7 The Truth.
The
The African American Roundtable, black-led organization on Milwaukee's far northwest side, has launched a safety campaign rooted in the basic need of food access. It's called Feed the Change MKE. Through community engagement, AART learned that easy access to and education about locally sourced and fresh food would help people feel healthier and safer. Also, local food providers need to learn how to engage the community, build awareness, and stay in our community long term. So Feed the Change MKE encourages people to know, grow, prepare, and share food, especially from community-owned and operated stores, gardens, markets, and other culturally relevant sources. We can't rely on big corporations to meet these needs. That's why we must demand the city to invest $1 million into the Healthy Food Establishment Fund, formerly called the Fresh Food Access Fund. Join AART's campaign to win a dignified and choiceful system that we all can thrive in. Visit AARTMKE.org to learn more about Feed the Change MKE.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Yes, welcome back to the Grapevine. I'm your host, Manan Sabir of the Grapevine, and it is 2:45. Do you know where your kids are at? Remember that? Nah, Zach doesn't remember that, but I remember they used to just be like, man, it is 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are at? I know where my child is at. She's moving around the city. Yes. New federal dietary guidelines released this year are definitely calling for sugar to be reduced to under 10% of weekly calories across breakfast and lunch. So that means when you send your kid to school for, of course they do the lunch program, the breakfast program and the lunch program. When you send your kid to school for that breakfast program, you got to remember they're not going to have all that sugar. They're trying to get rid of it. They also got to get rid of some of these cereals too. I mean, I know we're talking about fiber in cereal, but that's a myth. That ain't not like, if you look at Raisin Bran, stuff like that is kind of manufactured fiber, but it ain't nothing wrong with some lettuce in the morning. Ain't nothing wrong with some tomatoes in the morning. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. But they think that giving kids some Cheerios and fruit cups constitutes a breakfast. It doesn't. And, I put my stamp on that. It does not constitute a breakfast at all. But I gotta keep it honest with you. And this isn't as simple as schools just need to do better. Remember, 95, and I'm going to say this again, 95% of nutrition directors they're seriously worried that their food programs will be reduced. Yes, 95%, and it'll be reduced by labor costs. And that's and the highest federal reimbursement a school gets for a single meal is $4.60. $4.60. That's $4.60 to feed a child a meal that's supposed to compete with brand new federal standards. And that's not lazy cafeteria workers. That's not schools that don't care. That 71% of districts are already doing scratch cook meals daily or weekly. So they're trying. I think the real obstacle is more than 90% of nutrition directors. They're saying that they need more staff. Those people need more training. They need better equipment. They need more equipment. And although we say that schools is a state problem, we need, schools is a state problem, but Congress just hasn't funded that gap. And here's the piece that hits closest to home for communities like ours. During recent federal cuts to SNAP and Medicaid, the eligibility threatened the automatic enrollment that kids get into free school meal programs in the first place. So that means fewer high poverty schools even qualify for the programs that feed every kid for free. So it's no stigma, no separate line. It's not a side issue. That's the access question underneath everything else we just talked about. So Milwaukee, here's your call to action. This is like a school board meeting issue. Like, this is a real life school board meeting issue. This is a know your alder person and what they're doing about reimbursement rates issue. This is a show up and ask your district what their actually scratch cooking plan is. Because I know school cooks. Like, school cooks, I know a lot of them, a number of them. And school cooks, they doing their thing, man. Like I know there's school cooks that can really, really cook. They can get busy. And that, I think the silver lining in all of these conversations is that they say that they need more staff, better trained staff, and better and more equipment. That is number one. And you can't overlook this, because our school cafeteria lunch lady and lunch guy, they're doing their job. They're doing the best that they can. So we can never blame them. We have to look at the system that's in place in order for people to, in order for us to win. We have to win. In order for this to be a call to action, we have to look at the system. So I'm asking for people to look at the system, talk to your alder person, go to your school, go to the school board, demand strong programs, from your school, demand strong food programs from your school, demand strong food programs from the school district, and talk to the older people and put the pressure on your council people and all the folks that have any type of authority in this space. Put the pressure on them in order for your children to be given a proper and fair chance at having a healthy school lunch and also school breakfast. Because a lot of kids are going to school, they're not eating breakfast. They're going to the corner store. They're going to the bodega. Wherever you are at, you're going there, and they're going there and they're eating, or they're ordering whatever it is that's at the store. Kids are kids, man. They constantly need that dopamine rush. Kids are like one big dopamine rush anyway. Like they constantly press the button. They got their finger on the button all the time. So if they have the opportunity to eat any level of sugar, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. That's plain and simple. They were like, look, I've been around kids a lot. I got a boatload of nieces, and man, they will, if it wasn't for their parents, man, they would eat sugar every day, all day. So parents, demand from the folks that are in charge a better way so your children can have a strong quality of schooling in the school. Real quick, Milwaukee, let me ask you something. Why is it that we expect our children to sit still for 7 hours a day and then wonder why they can't focus? It's not just the food. I know we're talking about the food, but why is a kid who can't sit still automatically labeled the problem? Right? So instead of asking whether the system is a problem, black children especially, we're medicating them, their movement. We're putting medication inside of their bodies to medicate the medication. So even if they are, medicated properly, clinically medicated, we're medicating them, their movement. And that's not what kids are about. Kids are big balls of energy. This is what they are. When they were created because they were created from energy. Two energies combined to make these other two energies, and that energy made one big ball of energy. For some of y'all, it's two, because some of y'all are dealing with two sets of kids, like my boy James. So, two sets of twins. He literally has two sets of twins. This is kind of wild. But imagine that. We're medicating their movement. We're punishing their God-given energy. We're cutting recess. We're literally cutting recess. We're cutting gym. We cut gym. Like, some schools don't have gym, and that is appalling. Like, I've never heard that until now. And then we're shocked when, like, obesity, depression, diabetes, ADHD diagnosis, and then even classroom behavior keep climbing. They keep rising, going through the roof. I'm of the contention that we need to do something. And the issue is definitely not our children. We keep blaming children. We have teachers in our schools that are really, really good that should be getting paid a lot of money, way more money than some of our school administrative officials. But the issue isn't our children. The issue is not our children. It's not those good teachers. Those bad teachers, we got to get rid of them, or help them go into therapy. We're gonna tackle this issue of how do we harness the energy of our children and boomerang it into a proper channel so our children could succeed in school. You're on The Truth Radio, and this is The Grapevine. I'm your host, Manan Sabir. We're going to be back. Let's take a break.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America.
Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the home of Milwaukee's realest conversations on 101.7 FM and 1510 AM, W269DL, Milwaukee, a Milwaukee Black media company.
Woo! That beat is fire. Welcome back, Milwaukee. And you're on the Grapevine. We're picking some more grapes. I'm your host, Manan Sabir, and you're on 101.7 The Truth. And in my possession right now, I usually carry a box of pistachios and dates. I'm holding it up right now. I got pistachios and dates. I usually keep those with me because if I do get hungry, if I'm like really, really ready to eat, then I'll knock out some pistachios and some dates. They're high protein, high. I got some fiber in the from the dates and also potassium. There's no fiber, not much fiber in the pistachio, but come on, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. I'm allowing people to see what's going on. But straight up, Milwaukee, there's something that I was covering in the last section, and we're talking real. We're talking about our kids. We're talking about what it would take for us to make our kids feel better, right? To make them see that, coming to school is worth it. Straight up. I looked into like physical activity. I looked into physical activity and I'm very serious about this. Like, physical activity for our kids is huge, but also food is also a correlate to the physical activity. And according to the CDC, children need at least 60 minutes of physical activity every day. And that's, hopscotch, jacks, racing down the middle of the street. How many of you, like, I remember growing up and choosing somebody to race with and just like going all out, like from basically end to end. We're going block, like from end to end of the block, or just doing like half the block, or racing somebody on my bike. Like, come on, man, let's race, and hit the block like immediately. But now our kids are on they thumb games, like on the phone. And I wonder if people are still doing that. People are still going out, they double dutching and, playing hopscotch and all that stuff. Like those are real life active games that you can play every day. So, but what they found out, there's a statistic that said that only 24% of American children actually get 60 minutes of physical activity per day. So that's roughly three out of every 4 kids not getting enough of daily movement per day. So think about it. We're battling higher rates of childhood obesity, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety. Kids are having anxiety at very, very young ages, high blood pressure, depression, trauma, lots of trauma, a whole lot of trauma, every level of trauma, no matter what genre the kid is in, whether that there's special needs, I call it special power, or they are, kids who are kind of in a neurotypical environment. And there's food insecurity in majority, like we're facing food apartheid in our neighborhoods where there is food available, but we sometimes in some areas we live in a food swamp. Like literally, if you want to know what a swamp is, if you ever been to a swamp, or if you ever have not been to a swamp, look it up on YouTube. That's where some of our kids are living in. We're living in food swamps where all the food on a particular menu is either brown and browned and fried, or or it's trying to be healthy, but it's still a food swamp. Brown and fried, and we are feeding into it. So I want to speak to our Black parents, and I'm making this inclusive to everybody, but specifically our Black parents, because this conversation hits the Black community really, really different. Let's be honest. Many Black neighborhoods don't have safe parks, but there are parks that are becoming a lot more safer. Some kids just can't, or just don't want to, or just can't go outside after school. Some families work multiple jobs. Some schools don't have updated gyms. Some neighborhoods don't have recreation centers within walking distance. So, I remember there were a gang load of recreation centers back in the day in Milwaukee. Milwaukee was known for having on many different corners these German Turner centers, where I think it's German Turner centers or whatever they're called, but they would have the Germans bought boxing to a forefront here in Milwaukee. Boxing was like, if you wanted to find a boxing gym, you just had to just walk to your corner, and your local corner, you'll find a boxing gym. You can walk in and start boxing. So a lot of these older Germans who are now passed away, or they're older, or whatever, they remember this. The ones that lived in Milwaukee, they remember this. Or our parents, they remember when they were able to go to the natatorium and some of these other places, and and swim and box and play basketball. All that, they can go outside and do all of that, and they can be safe about all of the things that they're doing. But here's the crazy part, that I think schools may be the only place they can exercise safely, and that's pretty much the truth for some kids. Some kids, their parents don't allow them to go to the park. They don't allow them to go to the park. So, but when these kids go to school and they have access to the building, because our funding deficit, our kids are losing out on recess. A lot of schools have cut recess. They cut physical education. And we're basically punishing our kids by taking away recess because they want more classroom instruction. But that leads us back to, teach our kids how to read and put a book in their hand, especially after school. Put more books in their hand. When they learn how to read, more than likely, majority of our kids will put a book in their hand and they'll start to read. Take the phones away. Let them read. So the schools want more classroom instruction, so they start taking away some of the programs. Not because they want more classroom instruction, but they also want more classroom instruction. But the research actually shows differently. Students that are who are more physically active, they generally have better memory, proper cognition. They have they're better in the classroom, so their classroom behavior. Imagine your child, they went out and they just ran a mile, and they come back in, they're like, I need some water. All right, good. And they're just like calm. We all have seen this happen. Kids have better improvements. It's higher academic. And exercise, I'm not saying exercise competes with learning, but I'm saying that if we are to help our children prepare for learning, we have to give their brain the mental real estate. We have to give their brain the mental real estate that it takes for them to learn the lessons that you're teaching. Come on, kids. Come on, adults. Come on, teachers. Challenge the kids. So maybe the question isn't how do we get more instructional time? Maybe the question is not let's cut this program and we get more instructional time. It's maybe the question is how do we prepare our kids' brain for proper instruction, for better instruction? How do we prepare our kids' brain for instruction? I think that's my question is physical activity the proper tool to help our kids' brains get ready for instruction? Should they be instituting exercise during the first part of the day? I believe it, man, because you look at Brady Street. Brady Street is full of kids that ain't had Brady Street full of kids that need something to do. Like although they may not be in high school, they doing something, but that could be an example. Like if you can train train children from grade school, from kindergarten to 12th grade, that physical activity is a staple in their life from the moment that they wake up, man, they're going to remember that for the rest of their life. I think that society can change. Society will be able to change. We're going to take a break. We're going to pick some more greats when we come back. We're going to pick up this subject. What's going on with our children in school and physical activity? Let's get out of here.
At Milwaukee College Prep, we believe brilliance lives in every child. Here, students are challenged, supported, and celebrated every single day. With small class sizes, dedicated teachers, and a proven track record of academic excellence, MCP is helping Milwaukee kids reach their fullest potential. Enrollment is still open for grades K-3 through 8. Apply today. Give your child a school where they'll thrive. Visit mkuprep.com or call today. Milwaukee College Prep, brilliance lives here.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
Welcome back. This is the Grapevine. I'm your host, Manan Sabir, and I want to make sure that we stay on topic because this is a topic that, may not be up your alley. You probably got the kids at home. You looking at them in the summertime and stuff like that. But, we're talking about kids, exercise, nutrition. I'm going to put on my black lens, because this way the country structures movement and food access in our schools is not neutral. We gotta say that part out loud. It's not neutral. It is not neutral. And here's my premise. I want to sit with this for a minute. This country sits kids down for 6-7 hours a day, feeds them, a lot of processed garbage, then they act shocked when the test scores are low. Yeah, they're like, man, I don't know why Bill isn't testing high enough. So when their behaviors are low or high, behavior issues are high, when our boys especially get labeled disruptive, then they people turn to clinical areas to disrupt, to they turn to clinicians to diagnose our children. They're surprised. They say our kids are disruptive. Their mood has changed. They're always moody. And nobody addresses that child had to get up at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, some kids 4:30, and you're asking that child to sit down at 7:35, 7:45, 8:15, 8:30, from that time in the morning to 2-3 o'clock. Sometimes for some schools 3:30. You're asking that child to sit down and basically listen to you. Man, we're almost like criminalizing what is actually a basic biological human need, which is movement. And it's hitting our kids. It's hitting our kids the hardest. I imagine you going to work, and then your boss tells you, man, look, this is what you need to do. I need you to sit down for 6 hours, 7 hours at this desk. I need you to do this work and don't get up. And if you get up, I'm going to punish you. Like, what kind of boss you would look at your boss like, so you saying I don't get a break? Look at the research for our kids. This is, our kids are full of energy, and all research the research will tell you that kids need movement. There's a study called Ready to Learn. It's called the Morning Blast Program. And so 15 minutes of physical activity before the first bell every single day. The result, test scores went up, physical activity went up, and kids' confidence in their own academic ability went up. In just 15 minutes before the first bell. So before the bell rung at 7:45 for some kids, 8:15, 7:35, 7:45, 7:35, 7:45, 8:15, 8 o'clock, whatever it is, right? Before the first bell rung, guess what? That teacher or the school would make the kids do physical activity, boosting their endorphins. So the other studies back this up across the board. And I've seen, I remember a school in Pittsburgh, and also there was a school in Milwaukee that did that. And I forget the name of the school, but it went defunct. But it was a school in Pittsburgh that went viral for standing their kids up, doing, physical activity prior to the first bell. And they noticed that this happened. They noticed that there were less fights. There were more. There was much more camaraderie amongst the kids. All of that. So there's a lot of studies that back this up, and you guys have to remember, before school physical activity programs lasting 14 to 16 weeks consistently show improvement. So these types of programs consistently show improvement in math and spelling. So movement, and you can see that even with your kids. If you wake your kids up and they get up and they dancing and they're, you roughhousing with them, and then you send them to school, man, they are going to have a fun time at school. They're going to have a really fun time at school. So movement before instruction improves attention, concentration, and even like basic arithmetic. And this is just not a one-off. This is a pattern researchers keep finding over and over again. So here's my other question for this city, for this country. If we know this works, why is gym class one of the first things that gets cut when the budgets get tight? Why is gym class the first thing that gets cut when the budgets are tight? Why are we removing the exact thing, the exact thing the research says helps kids learn? Then you can look at the class size. You can look at the class times and actually be able to cut some of the class instructional time and down, because the kids are learning at a faster clip. It's really basic. The more exercise you get, the more elastic your brain is. And our kids they're elastic individuals, and they need as much elasticity as possible. So this ain't a strategy. This is more like, do they need more academic time? Some kids do because of certain, developments, but this isn't just a strategy. This is the truth. So let's think about kids on a global level. They said in Finland, it's law. They put into law. And that's what I'm asking parents to do. Like, talk to your school official. Talk to the principals and whoever else is in charge, the administrators and the common council people and the order people, and like put the pressure on them to really look at some of the other comparative studies in the world for your kids. This is for your kids. So is it law? It's law in Finland that kids get 15 minutes of outdoor recess after 45 minutes of instruction. Like, that's unheard of. Hey, look, hey, y'all, it's 45 minutes, bing. Y'all need to go outside, or boom, let's do some exercise. If it's raining or whatever, it's snowing, let's do something. Let's get outside. Let's stay inside, but let's do what we need to do. But in comparison to what the Finnish kids are working with, our average is 27 minutes. 27 minutes. So kids in Finland get at the very max 75 minutes per day, and our kids are getting 27 minutes per day. That's an atrocity. We're failing our kids at the systemic level. We're failing our kids at the systemic level. One, because we have administrators that are probably, and I'm going to call some of these administrators out, that are probably ain't doing the same thing that they want these kids to do. They probably not. You want the kids to cut out recess and you going to the gym after your work hours, or you not in shape, so you rather poo on the kids getting up out of their seats and doing some jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, stuff like that, running in place. Like, come on. If you're teaching, be the example. In Japan, kids get multiple breaks throughout the day, even on rooftops in large cities. Like, I seen this in large cities like China, in Beijing. Kids go to if they have school, and sometimes they have school on high rises. And I've seen this where kids will go to the rooftop and they exercise on the rooftop. This happens in New York. Same exact thing. They're exercising wherever they can. And I'm not saying New York is any different from Milwaukee, because it's pretty much the same. But in some of these countries, the kids aren't being left behind, and we're leaving our kids behind. And our kids, this equation is, or this ingredient is a part of the full-fledged equation for our kids' instruction and learning. This is how we close the achievement gap. So you took one of the documented tools away, and you closed it. You took it away. You pushed it, to the back, and now you have children who don't have an outlet. And guess what? When they don't have an outlet, they're going to make up some ish. Straight up. They're going to make up whatever they can in order to have that outlet. Whatever it is. This is what's going on in our country. We're thinking that we sit these kids down and we teach them from sun up to almost sundown through sitting in stools, and it's not working. When we come back, we're going to talk about sports, boxing, combat sports inside of our schools, and whether or not it's feasible for them to be in the schools. All right, let's take a break.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome. Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. Improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to health care and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. It's a challenging time to be a black leader in America. Recently, my colleagues at Bloomberg Business Week brought together a group of prominent black executives to talk about how they're navigating the White House, rollbacks to DEI initiatives, and the current mood in America surrounding race. Jacob Walter Jr. is CEO at Blueprint Capital Advisors. He says he notices a pattern where things get tougher directly following a period of breakthrough.
Whether it was post-slavery, whether it was Reconstruction, whether it was Jim Crow, now I think we pay a little bit of a price for the advancements we've made more recently. When you really think about it, right? They've got reason to be worried in their mind. You've got more black senators than ever before. In my industry, you've got more black people running venture capital funds, private equity funds, private credit funds.
Walter Jr. referring to the groundswell of anti-DEI sentiment coming after a time when those same ideas saw lots of support in 2020. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Woo! Welcome back. We're picking some more grapes. This is the Grapevine. I'm telling you right now. We're talking about our kids' athletics in school, whether or not our children need to have physical activity before the first bell rings. That's one of my main points. You know, should we include more sports athletics inside of the school day? Like what do we need to do? So let's get into part of this segment. And I know people are gonna have feelings about it, but boxing. And I chose a sport. I want to know what you guys feel about boxing before, boxing during school, boxing in the class. So here's what the research actually shows. A study on boxing training in children found real improvements in self-concept and cognitive performance, specifically mental rotation ability, which predicts later success in STEM subjects. So other research on boxers found versus non-boxers found boxers had faster reaction time. We all know that. And better attention capacity. So boxing requires laser focus, discipline, footwork, rhythm, split-second decision-making. And so it's just not throwing punches. It's one of the most cognitively demanding sports that exists. So now I already hear what y'all thinking. You want to put boxing gloves on our kids' hands before they do math, and yes, I think that's the point. And I hope you realize that in order for our children to have strong mental flexibility, they gotta be flexible physically too. What is on the outside is on the inside. Think about that. If they're flexible, if they're fast on the outside, they're gonna be fast on the inside. So before they do math, yes, they don't gotta sit down and wake up. They don't gotta wake up and do math right away. So we already let our kids play tackle football. We let them collide on the basketball court. We let them check each other in hockey. But really, if we think about it, boxing, and we know it's controversial, but I think some of that is a reaction to who's doing the boxing. And I don't need anybody to panic. No, and people don't panic about a suburban kid doing fencing or wrestling prior. But structured, supervised, non-contact boxing fundamentals, footwork, mitt work, shadow boxing, conditioning, that builds focus and discipline, y'all. That builds focus and discipline in a way that is documented research. Muhammad Ali just isn't a boxer. He's a cultural icon, a statement to dignity and resistance. But there's something powerful about a kid starting their school day channeling all of that energy, that discipline, that resistance, channeling all of that energy productively. So instead of having all of that natural energy suppressed for 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever it is, and then them labeled a problem, a behavior problem, maybe it's time that we find out that we kind of part ways with that. We part ways with that frame of thinking. And I'm not saying every school needs a boxing ring. I'm not saying that we need a combat octagon. I'm not saying that. But it's discipline. This stuff is discipline based. It's rhythm based. It's focus based activity, and it deserves a real look as part of our before class movement conversation. So it's just not track and field or generic calisthenics, but you got to give something. You got to give our kids something that builds discipline and builds pride all at the same time. I think that's the key. That if you want to build discipline and pride, you give our kids the energy. That's what they're used to. They're used to the energy. And I'm gonna bring this home just a little bit because this isn't abstract for Milwaukee Public Schools. I remember back in the day, when from what I heard, they had boxing in school. Matter of fact, there was a boxing team at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Like a real life boxing squad. Kids got that stuff inside of schools. But we went away from it, probably because of budget gaps, budget deficits and all this other stuff. So they wound up cutting some of these extracurriculars out. But we have to remember, MPS is sitting on a $46 million budget gap. And recent audits show that the district has been overspending specifically in areas like nutrition and transportation. So the district just approved cuts impacting roughly 200 jobs to deal with that shortfall, and the teachers union has called the whole process chaotic. And to be fair, voter-approved referendum money has helped MPS protect and even invest in art, music, physical education, and student mental health supports recently, and that's real. That's not nothing, and it matters, Milwaukee. It matters. So voters get to choose to fund that instead of letting it get cut first like districts usually do. But I need you guys to remember that if we're looking at our kids in school having proper exercise and a method and a model to lean on in order to have strong academic prowess and showing, then this is one of the best ways to do it, from my opinion. I mean, you look at Japan, and a lot of kids walk to school. Schools emphasize nutritious lunches, and they got physical activity that's built into their school daily routines. And so in many countries, movement isn't viewed as something you earn after finishing your work. Like, man, when you finish your work, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. Yeah. Then I'll send you outside. You can go outside. No, it's not. It shouldn't be a reward. It should be built in so the child can succeed. Not a reward for finishing something that they may not be able to finish because the child does not have the elasticity to finish that particular job. So allow them to get up, move around, work that thing off, and then go and do what they got to do. It's energy. That's all it is. Energy in, energy out. So what if MPS became America's healthiest school district? That's why I want that. And I want to dream for a minute. I want to dream. Imagine Milwaukee becoming nationally known, not for struggling schools, but for becoming the healthiest school district in America. Imagine school having morning walking clubs. They stretching before first period. Like, yeah, this is basic stuff, right? The brain stretching before first period. The brain breaks down between classes. You got yoga. What if you had yoga, dance, double dutch, basketball, soccer, martial arts, track clubs, gardening, nutrition classes, cooking classes, like family wellness nights, mental health check-ins for our kids, like hydration stations where, you hydrate these kids with either water, great alkaline water, and or you give them like some, you have that juicing station. You have that station where kids can visit. They can pop over and spend a little money. Boom. Then they'll be able to do what they got to do. That's all a part of making our kids healthier, allowing them to see what you're fighting for. Milwaukee, when we come back, we're going to ask for some solutions. We need solutions for this. And I know it's a big topic, but we're going to try to tackle it. Let's find some solutions. I'm your host, Manan Sabir, and this is The Grapevine. Don't go nowhere.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. that taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Yes, welcome back. And we are going to pick some more grapes on the grapevine. But first, get ready. 101.7 The Truth Family Fest is back. Join us Saturday, August 22nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Riverside University High School for free back-to-school resources, live entertainment, family activities, and community fun. Vendors and sponsors can reserve a spot by emailing Sierra.Brown. That's Cierra.Brown at MilwaukeeBlackMedia.com. Proudly sponsored by Educators Credit Union, Gruber Law Offices, and American Family Insurance. And the American Family Insurance is a proud sponsor of The Truth. For almost 100 years, they've been committed to helping families protect what matters most: your home, your vehicle, and the dreams you're building every single day. And if you're a part of the Truth audience, you already know you work hard for yours. That's why having the right protection in place matters. American Family helps you stay ready for whatever life brings so you can focus on moving forward. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly with American Family Insurance. Get a quote or find an agent at amfam.com. Yes. What are the solutions, y'all? I don't want to complain. I don't feel like complaining. I just want solutions. Milwaukee already has incredible assets. Imagine partnerships. You know, like we got a lot of assets, but imagine partnerships with local gyms. Imagine partnerships that, we look at all these local fitness environments, these fitness trainers, and we partner with these folks. And everybody's, I know trainers are probably thinking like, man, how am I getting paid from this, blah, blah. There has to be a way. There has to be a way. Every morning, one time per morning, all like for that first hour, our children are getting, the best of the best. The best of the best. And I need trainers to realize that you got to reach out. I want trainers to reach out to the schools and offer your service during the first part of the day, before the first bell rings. Get those kids before they hit the, before they hit the lesson. Like, get them into some type of yoga pose or, boxing or whatever it is. Get them into that right away, so we can help the learning process in our schools. So like the schools can partner with the YMCAs and other community centers, other YMCAs, the martial arts academies and dance studios they can lead weekly movement sessions. And, even look at the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee Bucks got a boatload of trainers. Even some of the Bucks players got trainers on Paul trainers. And those people can come in, they can visit the schools on a regular basis. Local the colleges like UWM, Marquette, MATC, WCTC. What other schools we got? We got some more schools. UW Milwaukee, UW Madison, Oshkosh, Whitewater. Like, we need to learn that if we're going to help our kids learn at a higher clip, at a higher rate, it takes all of us. And needless to say, that everybody that participates in this will gain some level of interest from the people that they're training or that they're working with. So, we got kinesiology students that need volunteer hours. Boom, they can come in and do their work. Black physicians can help with health literacy. Local chefs, that's what we got. A lot of local chefs coming into Milwaukee Public Schools. They're doing their thing. I'm proud of y'all. So imagine like every single school having a community wellness council made up of parents, teachers, healthcare workers, fitness professionals, and neighborhood leaders. This isn't about replacing teachers. It's about surrounding children with an entire village. You got to surround our teachers and our children with an entire village, with people that are willing and ready to work for them at any moment of the day, any moment of the month, week, month, year. We got to surround our kids with the best of the best. We cannot pull away from our children. We gotta always, and this is something we may even wrestle with. We may wrestle with this as a society. But one thing we can't wrestle with is the children, their growth never stops. Unless we stunt their growth, which is almost impossible. Unless we stunt their growth is never stopping. It's always continuing. And so here's a question I want Milwaukee to kind of wrestle with today. We invest millions of dollars trying to fix problems after they happen. What if we invested more in preventing them? What if the next reduction in violence starts with healthier children? What if the next reduction in diabetes, because diabetes is huge in our community, what if diabetes starts in second grade? What if the next increase in graduation rates starts with healthier brains instead of more worksheets? Health education and health and education aren't competing priorities. They're teammates. They're things that we have to harness. I'm appealing to. Hopefully, I'm appealing to the parents. Hopefully, I'm appealing to the people that make the decisions. I really want to say something really harsh, but please get up off your tail and make it happen. Like, administrators, if you are admittedly and irresponsibly being lazy, please be honest with yourself and get our kids up and moving. This is of utter importance. This is a national emergency. So where I want to land this is, especially in Milwaukee, we have the research, movement before class works. Other countries that outperform us, have built their entire school day around that truth. They built their entire school day around that truth. And by law, literally in some cases, like Finland, where they tell the people that they need a break after 45 minutes, a recess break after 45 minutes each learning area. So after each learning area, which is 45 minutes, they take an actual recess break. They go outside. So we have a sport, which is boxing. You can do kickboxing, whatever it is. I just chose boxing. That's a part of our cultural fabric. And the research says that these sports, they build elasticity. They are the type that builds focus and discipline, yet it's treated like a controversial idea, and it can't be. We have a school district right here, right now, fighting through a budget crisis where these exact programs are always the most vulnerable. And this is not a wait and see issue. This is a show up to the board meeting, ask the hard question, demand the line item, stays protected issue. Like, show up, y'all. Our kids' bodies and their minds are not separate problems. They're not separate on budgets. Our kids are one child, and we need to start funding the budgets like our children are just one child. And that's the Grapevine. I'm gonna tell y'all to stay moving, stay informed, and more than likely, we're gonna see you next time. Let's be out.